Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me warmly welcome all of you to the official launch and the info session of the 4th edition of the Best Management Practices Company Awards 2025, organized by the Institute of Chartered Professional Managers of Sri Lanka. These awards stand as a tribute to excellence, recognizing outstanding leadership, commendable policies and strategies, effective people management, strategic partnerships, optimal resource utilization, streamlined process, and remarkable organizational performance. More than a celebration, they serve as a benchmark, inspiring management teams to reflect on and elevate their practices within their respective industries. This evening, we will guide you through a detailed overview of the awards, highlighting their benefits, eligibility, and the steps to participate. Before we commence this insightful session, may I kindly invite everyone to rise for the national anthem of Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka, Namo, 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 Mata.
Now, to set the stage, we would like to share a brief video introducing the journey and mission of CPM Sri Lanka.
The Institute of Chartered Professional Managers of Sri Lanka provides a link between the private and public sectors for the advancement of professional management. CPM Sri Lanka encourages her members and students to proactively seek out learning opportunities through their varied conferences, seminars, journals, and workshops, showing their devotion both to their personal and their company's growth. They engage with their professional institute to find solutions for their company and for themselves while maintaining a positive attitude in their relationships and their work. In a short span of period, the Institute has passed many milestones and has won the hearts of over 3,500 members from every profession. CPM Sri Lanka is recognized internationally and is an active member of the Association of Management Development Institutions in South Asia, AMDISA, and having affiliations with Malaysian Institute of Management, Indian Institute of Ahmedabad, and All India Management Association. The Governing Council is the Institute's apex governance body and comprises visionary academic and business leaders with the affiliations of patrons and advisory council. In order to make the services and activities of the Institute more effective, the Governing Council is supported by various committees which provide oversight on specific areas relating to the Institute's operations.
The Institute of Chartered Professional Managers of Sri Lanka is the leading professional management body in Sri Lanka. We were initially set up in the year 2008 as a Certified Professional Managers of Sri Lanka with the assistance of the All India Management Association. So this foreign link has also helped us, and we are now engaged in giving professional membership to managers in both the public and the private sector, and we have around 3,500 members who are actively involved with the Institute. We conduct many important events. The main event, of course, is the annual conferences that we are holding, then the evening for managers, and also specialized courses for the managers, which includes the management and entrepreneurship program, which will enable most of the managers in companies, in business organizations, to obtain career progression in their various management roles that they are playing. So we are very happy that the Chartered Professional Managers, with its inception in 2008, has today been elevated to one of the best and the leading professional management body in Sri Lanka.
The Institute's study program has two paths that ultimately meet in the Institute's membership. The Chartered Professional Manager program will add measurable and sustainable improvements to your self-awareness while you become an agile and adaptable future-ready leader. The Institute also conducts certificate, diploma, and advanced diploma programs in management and entrepreneurship with a fully fledged syllabus and grading systems. The diploma programs will form a foundation for young professionals who wish to pursue membership qualifications which form a separate career path. CPM confers 2 types of memberships: corporate membership and individual membership. CPM Sri Lanka corporate membership helps organizations build best management practices and standards to stay ahead of the competition through various public and customized in-house programs, executive development programs, and signature events. Membership of CPM Sri Lanka is offered in 3 categories of associate, member, and fellow. Membership is open to individuals seeking to develop their professional skills and pursue management careers in industrial, business, service sectors, or the public sector. On fulfilling required qualifications and experience, membership is conferred upon careful evaluation by the membership committee and the approval of the governing council. Members will find a complete portfolio of events and opportunities to keep their professional expertise alive, updated, and on the cutting edge of development. The Institute organizes international management conferences, knowledge-sharing forums, executive education and professional development programs, management quiz competitions, professional development programs, networking and sports events, CSR projects, mentoring programs, and interviews from business tycoons. The Chartered Manager Journal is very popular not only for its high-quality contents and presentation, but it also helps to sustain a strong bond between the Institute and its members. The Professional House will contain technological, study and fellowship facilities. Members will be linked together through networking facilities and the official member directory. Members have the occasion to govern themselves by joining the council at the annual AGM. CPM Sri Lanka now has 3,500 plus membership of prominent personalities from diverse professions, covering board directors, group, managing directors, chief executive officers, senior, middle and junior level executives, entrepreneurs, and other professionals. The Institute of Chartered Professional Managers of Sri Lanka, the highest professional accolade in professional management in the country.
Thank you for your patient listening. To officially commence the event, it is my privilege to invite Professor Lakshman R. Watavela, founder and president of CPM Sri Lanka, to deliver the welcome address.
Good afternoon to all of you. In fact, I think we are very much encouraged by the large number of companies and their representatives who are present here this afternoon. And I still find some are coming, but we will get started as time is very precious. Now, the main reason that you have joined here is to find out more details of the Best Management Practices Company Awards 2025. So we started this in 2022. I'm sure a lot of you who are seated here were there at the inception. So let me thank you for all the support that you have given. Then we had 2023 and 2024, and now we are going on to 2025. So 2025 means your performance for the year ended 2024. So that shows that this is a very important area, best management practices in Sri Lanka. I know that if a company has to be successful, you definitely know that all your results will be based on the management practices that you do. Of course, this includes different elements. As you know, the management profession is a multidisciplinary area, which means that those who are joining our management profession come from different professions, and as a result, we will be able to be quite strong because we will have the expertise from all areas. I'm sure in all your companies, you'll have a, maybe as they say, the leader who will ensure that all your areas would be managed well. Because in the event, if any areas are weak, certainly that will affect the operations of the company. In the good old days, we were mainly thinking of maybe the profit and of course maybe the people who are there in the organization. But today it has become much more broader, because a company is not only judged by those areas but by many others, because we really, I'm sure you'd have heard the word many times on the sustainable performance of all companies. So this is very important, and I'm sure that you who have come today in such large numbers are dedicated managers, senior executives and others who are running your companies extremely well. CPM has a very pleasant task to do. That is, of course, to evaluate your companies and to award the best management practices that are being used in Sri Lanka. If you just look at the election results, I think that category is not included, but I would maybe recommend to our technical committee chairman that this should be included. Because if one has to win, then they should have adopted the best management practices in being elected. So you can see that the majority obtained, maybe not a simple majority, but a 2/3 majority. So the example has been set by the political party that has won as to the need of best management practices, not only to govern the country, but also to extend it to those who are really supporting the economic development of this country. If you look at the economic development, the main role is there with the private sector, and I'm sure that what you are doing is playing a major role. But we forget, or we should realize, that if any of our companies make a mistake, then they will find that there will be adverse implications. So that's why we have to see that we use the best and also not relax. Today you all know that our country, maybe your companies are doing well, you might be having reserves, you might be having bank balances, but even if you put all those together, the debt of Sri Lanka is over 100 billion rupees. So even the best manager will find it extremely difficult, because there is a big burden on them as to they have to pay the interest on the loan, they have to pay the installments, and also they have to ensure that there is development in the country. So that's what I feel, that the practices that are there that have been used by the private sector, if they are also used, there is a famous term, state-owned enterprises. I don't know whether there are any who are from the state-owned enterprises, but I can say that certain sectors that are regulated are doing extremely well. Regulation is very necessary in order to see that companies are managed well, and that they also have competent managers who will be able to run these organizations. So that's one area that the government can really look into, the regulated area, which, especially maybe if I talk of two sectors, maybe the banking sector and the insurance sector, we always find that they are following the same principles of maybe quoted companies and unquoted companies that are maintaining best practices. If you do not prepare your accounts on time, if you have many qualifications from the auditors, which I think is something that the SOEs like very much, because that gives the politicians to speak on so many areas. But if you in any of these organizations in the private sector, if that is done, I think the door is open, and I'm sure that they will ask you to go because you are really not filling your duties that is being given to you. So I think I don't want to speak too much, but I must thank especially our director, Mr. Dilshan Narsakulratna, because I can see that the numbers of participants have been increasing every year. And this year, I think maybe with, as I said, the good management practices of the government, that many more companies have joined. So that shows that they have also done a good job, because to get results, we have to work. If we only warm our seats, I'm sure all your companies will not be there for too long. So it is necessary for us to do that. But as you know, the private sector, I said there was a big burden, but that burden has to be borne by the private sector, the citizens of this country. So we have to see how best we can do that. We also have to fulfill our wishes by managing these companies and giving a return. Earlier it was shareholders, now it is stakeholders. Stakeholders have to be satisfied that you are running your organizations well. I'm sure over the years that you all have improved the management practices. Today, the new area of digitalization. I just was there in Singapore yesterday. I had not gone there for a long time, but when I saw the airport, I was stunned. In all our airports, full of heads and people. There, it was entirely different. It was all digitalized. Very few may be seated. All the others were all digitalized. You go to get your visa, it's the same thing. No people, you have to punch everything. So this is the era that we have to go to. Our people always talk saying that we want to be like Singapore. But Singapore has not come to that extent in 1 year. It takes time. So that's something that we need to keep in mind. You know how your companies have grown. How the growth of these companies, the expansion of these companies has taken place over the years. It is not possible to do it in 1 year. So this is something that we all need to remember. The other thing is that all have to work hard. If you are a good manager, you are working hard. You are going to achieve your goals and targets. That's what will give you excellence and also satisfaction. People think it is the salary that people are leaving this country. Unfortunately, it is not the case. If you go abroad, there is a system that is working. System, you don't have to go and meet any people. The system will say whether how you can work. No problems. Now those are the things that we have to do. In your company, it's the same thing. But unfortunately, when you go to the government service, those are not there. People are there. So I think if we can replace the people with the computers, with less heads, I think everything will work. This is what we have seen. But I must just give you one story. You see, in 1977, again, it was, I think it's a 2/3 majority. But at that time, they did not have this burden, $100 billion loans by the government. And at that time, all the people came and put their money, and they were able to open the economy and make a very substantial change with all of our practicing. Many governments have come, but they have changed everything, but not the open economic policy. But of course, the implementation has changed, which is really something maybe for the good or the bad. And also, accountability is very important. Now, all your organizations, if you are a good manager, you are accountable for what you are doing. Today, our country is of two groups. One is the private sector, with the public sector. You ask for accountability in the public sector, no one knows who's accountable. Who's responsible for the 100 billion loans that have been taken? No one is answered. But in your own companies, if you do something, you have to show where that money goes, what are the results you have obtained, and of course the famous term that I use, the value created by you. So I think we are really going through a big change. We do hope that, as I said, the best management practices used by the government in power to come into power. It shows that it attracted everyone, So I'm sure your marketing wizards will be telling you the same thing. If you want to sell your things, how you can attract the people. So this is something that we have to take, and I'm sure that they have to set this example. The best management practices, and today we are launching this with your support, with your participation, to ensure that the others will get a lesson. Because we have to really put this country on the right track. We have to ensure that we can carry on without any problems. We should be able to raise our head. So that's all could be done by best management practices, and also that also needs education, the skills, all those things have to be combined, which I am sure all of you are using. So once again, let me thank every one of you. I must also thank our chairman of the Best Management Practices Committee, Dr. Samantha Ratnayake, and the committee, all our council members who are present here, all our other senior members. There are members from our evaluation panel, judges panel, all of them who have been supporting this in order that it could be maintained at a high quality and standard. That's very essential. Today we need to maintain that, and everyone will look at how strong that an organization is. If you really see here, when you say Chartered Professional Managers of Sri Lanka, no one can use the word Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka means you are recognized by the government of Sri Lanka. Otherwise you can't use it. You may be able to use Ceylon, but not Sri Lanka. So you know that I'm happy that all of you have realized all these things. The good work that have been done by our committees, by our directors and all the others. I can also see our women's committee. Now another important one, I saw diversity, where they are really playing a very important role. They have to come in front. I'm sure this, as I said, even in the parliament, there are more women this year. So that means they are all participating. So we need to see most of you all go to the top, become chairman, managing directors, HR managers. I'm sure already there are quite a number in that, maybe CFOs. So many areas which consist of the best managers in Sri Lanka. So I'm sure all of you should also, I don't know how many of you are members, I can see quite a number of them, but those who have not joined should join us, because it's really going to help you. Because management is not something you learn and finish. You have to do what is called the continuing professional development. We said evening for managers that we are having. If you want to improve your skills, improve your performance, I'm sure all your bosses and others will look forward to your performance, and the participation of this, I'm sure, at this great event will help you to take, not only to build your own self, but to take your organization forwards. So let me wish you all the very best, and I wish to once again thank you for the great support that we have given to CPM. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Waterwelle, for your inspiring words and for sharing the vision behind this award scheme. Next, we invite you to witness the official unveiling of the plaques of the Best Management Practices Company Awards 2025. We are privileged to have our dignitaries join us on the stage for this momentous occasion. Before we proceed, please turn your attention to the screen as we present the official video of the 4th edition of the Best Management Practices Company Awards 2025. Please give a big round of applause. This is our official video for the 4th edition of the Best Management Practices Company Awards 2025. With that, may I now kindly invite Professor Lakshman R. Waterwelle, founder and president of CPM Sri Lanka, and Dr. Samantha Ratnayaka, the chairman of the panel of judges, to unveil plaques of the BMPCA Awards 2025. And with that, now we are moving to the most important part of today's session. It is now my privilege to introduce Dr. Samantha Ratnayaka, the chairman of the panel of judges and a governing council member of CPM Sri Lanka. Dr. Ratnayaka will provide us with an in-depth overview of the 4th edition of the Best Management Practices Company Awards 2025. I encourage you to give your full attention for these next 45 minutes, as this session will be important in understanding what it takes to compete for and win the overall gold award at this prestige edition. Please feel free to note down your questions, which can be addressed at the end of these presentations. With that, ladies and gentlemen, let me invite Dr. Samantha Ratnayaka to make his presentation. Dr. Ratnayaka, the floor is yours.
So this presentation is about yesterday, today, tomorrow. The hindsight, insight, foresight. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The President of CPM Sri Lanka, the Governing Council members, distinguished invitees, and ladies and gentlemen. It's time for us to take you through this technical overview, but may I say that this is about the big picture. So this is about taking from yesterday to tomorrow in best management practices. Well, as the compeer, Mr. Dilshan said, in this case, I think he's playing a dual role as a director as well as the compeer here. So thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. Now it's time for us to get you into the big picture. So let me put you into the context first from yesterday to today, and then we'll get the story unfolding within next, say, 40 to 45 minutes time. Well, the starting with, so if you look at like this best word, once we looked at literal meaning, quite interestingly, even though it's called best, it means highest, but the challenge is that it has the connotation like better. So the better instead of best. So if you go further, you may understand that it's better practices. So that best is always an evolving process. So in that light, may I take you into the 1980s? So this landmark, one of the best 50 books ever written. Tom Peters and Robert Waterman in 1982, by looking at late 70s, the America's best companies. Originally they have interviewed 63, but later got it to 43, and subsequently looked at what these companies, America's best run companies, are predominantly demonstrating. So when you're looking at that, the lessons, even though it's like all but gold book, in line with best management practices domain, that was the beginning. That was the start. So that is where I started to discuss about best practices, best business practices, and also in line with best management practices as well. So originally it was about managing by wandering around. But so this is, even though there were some criticisms against the book, but if you look at a quick understanding about the 8 themes, the overarching themes which they have picked out of those areas, even though we are not going one by one from bias for action, autonomy, entrepreneurship, if you look at each area, the productivity, hands-on, value-driven, that simultaneous loose, like sticking to the knit. So that is, it's about while preserving your core, serving for the purpose. So ladies and gentlemen, it's all about, in brief, people, customer, innovation. The first articulated discussion in the history of the recent last 40 years. So if you look at today, lean management, so there you are. If you look at the productivity, innovation, people management, customer first, the most of the topics which we are looking at today were originated from best management practices, from In Search of Excellence. So with that, let me take you into the 1994. So if you look at Jim Collins, so what he has done, he has looked at this landmark book of successful habits of visionary companies. So he went to about 14 companies and looked at and asked and checked what are the driving factors, what was really pushing them to the next level. So when they are looking at the key attributes, what he has observed that, so these key words which we are highlighting today were originated from there. The big, hairy, audacious, the BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goals, a cult-like culture, so looking at keep on experimenting, looking at things like homegrown management, whether you can bring your own CEO built in or like bringing outside and make the culture mess up. So like never good enough, the end of beginning. So all these key major discussions were articulated and emerged from this book. So with that, if I take you into the jump into 2001, so the same gentleman, by looking at nearly 15 years landmark book of this Good to Great. So this is from Stanford. It is not about just a hearsay opinion, just sitting down and writing a book. No, it's about Stanford 15 years research by looking at why some companies make the leap and others don't. So if you look at even today's business context, Good to Great practices are still on the card. So if you look at, in brief, you can see that the core, the overarching central message is what? Discipline people, discipline thought, discipline action. So looking at this level 5 leadership to first who, then what. The average companies, they look at first what, then who. But the visionary companies, first who, then what. Well, looking at the confronting the brutal factors, looking at the hedgehog. So fox versus hedgehog. So fox might be knowing a lot of factors. I think it is relevant to politics also. But the hedgehog knows one thing, one big thing. That is a game changer. While the culture of discipline, getting into technology, accelerators and so on. So many companies are looking for breakthrough ideas. But the scenario is different, ladies and gentlemen. It's about taking that continuous improvement. So that is where the flywheel comes. So what the opposite? It's a doom wheel. So many companies get these ad hoc practices and disturb their flywheel. So this discussion is not about like going through book after book and book. So I want to look at Sri Lankan context also. The founder director PIM as well as CPM patron Professor Gunapala Nanayakkara in 1999, in fact that period. So he, then late Professor Lienage, then Professor Sishu Jayakodi. So they have extensively involved, and also Professor Fonseca. So they have done Sri Lankan companies best practices. So in that light, so if you look at this cluttered slide, if I highlight that, you can see 40 large successful companies in Sri Lanka were studied and looked at what makes their main successful factors. So particularly I would like to highlight the best management practices in Sri Lankan landscape, where in line with those 80s and 90s and particularly this period. So if I just highlight those factors, the bias for action, quality focus, the customer orientation, relationship with customers, relationship with employees, and outsourcing. So ladies and gentlemen, when you are looking at these companies, some of them are not in the card. So it has dual meaning. One is that, of course, we need to keep on innovating and developing, otherwise we are not in the card. But it doesn't mean that the study was bad, like in 1982. So the idea here is all about looking at some attempts. So I can see that some of the company names which are in this audience also, like I can see them. So that's the scenario. Right. So with that, let me look at and conclude that area. But I want to tell you that in management, we call pause and learn. Listen, act, listen. So the pandemic time gave us time to reflect some other key landmark findings like in management. For an example, if you go to balance scorecard, so which is very famous. But if you look at what is balance scorecard, both Professor Kaplan and then Norton, later he became a professor, so those two, they went to 14 companies and asked from CEOs, what drives? So what they have found it out. Vision, strategy, if it is combined, then the balanced view of those rest of the 4 areas. That is 1992. So 1994, the Professor Gary Hamel and C.K. Prahalat from India, so those two got together and wrote that landmark, another changing book, The Competing for the Future. The learnings are still valid for today. So those who are interested Japanese learning, there are two authors, one is from India, one is from Japan, one is from US, that is Nonaka and Takeuchi. So Akijiro Noneka and Hirotika Takeuchi have got together and wrote 2 books in 1994. One is called The Best Japanese Companies Who Are Making That Visionary Leap, as well as in 2019 they wrote a second book called Wise Company. So all these books, ladies and gentlemen, have given us some thoughts. Look, in the context that we were, particularly the post-pandemic, as an implicit professional body, what we should do. I think we should start somewhere. So that is what the context in 2022, where as a professional body, as Professor Vatawala said, we have come out with, we want to push. You can see that it's about back to the business practices. So we want the key overarching discussion, if you recall back, what is that? Back to normal. So here, so the normal, new normal, so that is what the context. With that, the response and kind of emergent view, like we went to 2023 with that hype. So the companies, as Professor said, starting to looking at this quite differently and look at this as a kind of a holistic developing thinking line. With that, we move to 2024. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, now if I summarize these 3 years of 2022, 3, 4, have given us a point to think. So as Professor said, as a professional body, what is our role? What is our implicit duty, responsibility? What is our national role? So in that light, I think we have, as a management body, the key message is we should do something. We should get inspired these institutions to come forward and showcase. So within that light, may I take that opportunity? So this creating the theme of promoting best management practices in Sri Lanka. So after that, the patron, Professor Nanakara's time, so then CPM has taken this step to take it forward. So therefore, we are in a happy moment in that sense. So it's time for us to, ladies and gentlemen, to look at 2022. So shall we quickly go through how was the event? Dear corporate institutions, during 2020 and 2021, what you have done to this country through your capacities, irrespective of your level, irrespective of your standings here as far as the categories are concerned, which is phenomenal. I'm sure country needs more and more such initiatives. I think all these corporates deserve a thumping round of applause for that wonderful task. Truly appreciated.
We need to fast track our development. We need to give a new meaning to the economic development. That can be done only by the private sector.
Right, okay. So with that event, what is our key learning in the first attempt? So we got, the long story short, the 4 scenarios. We saw that the companies which are looking at the defining of their best management practice, so the practices, and to what extent they have defined the lower level or higher level, and at the same time we looked at what is the response, it's average or above response. So when you are looking at that, we have realized there are 4 scenarios. Of course, some companies they define well and the response also good. No doubt about that. They are doing great and they are always rising to the occasion. They know what they are doing. So the knowing, doing, the phenomena was well established. If you look at the opposite, then the response is low as well as the application part, the doing part, that was low. So what is that, the scenario? Of course, according to the award criteria, like they were like at the, I would say, lower level of understanding their clarity. But there were instances where the response is poor. But like the point is that companies have their clarity, the subject matter. What does that mean? So someone there, but no one to take the story forward, no one to come forward and tell that story. So that's one scenario we have observed. But at the same time, we saw that some do not have like idea about what they are doing, the key concepts, relevant practices. Instead, they keep on doing and doing and doing. So what does that mean? So that is probably the gut feeling and not articulated concept. So with that, as I said, but still it's a matter of going forward. So let's look at 2023.
Very warm welcome to each of you to the Best Management Practices Company Awards 2023, organized by the Institute of Chartered Professional Managers of Sri Lanka.
think we will be able to become winners.
A truth is found neither in the thesis nor antithesis, but in the emergent synthesis which reconciles the two. Once you have hit the spot on best practice, you need to sustain it.
Well, so this time we were not looking at the response and the practice as we have looked at in the first year. So it's all about knowing, doing. So knowing, doing gap. So like who have a clear understanding about the practices and what they are doing. So what is the connection? So we looked at, so this is not the time for me to take you through each of those 4 scenarios, but the practices were looking at, some were having a clear-cut understanding and doing very well. So they are macro and so much of focus and the futuristic in that direction. But the scenarios where some are like having a lot of activities, but not connected to their strategy. But at the same time, a few are having very much connected with the leadership-driven, so the gut feeling-driven kind of a push, but it's not connected with the down-the-line activities. So that means the knowing, doing gap. So with that, we were very positive with the response of the year 2, and we went to 2024. So this year, that is this year, March. So let's have a quick look at. what about the political landscape inclusion into the evaluation criteria? So one of the learnings, ladies and gentlemen, when you are looking at this year, particularly last year, the evaluation, in strategic management, where we look at these goals into objectives, into strategy, and supported by the tactics. So here, this famous, the connotation is in line with that, of course, goals should have a clear, big, hairy, audacious goals into deliverables, objectives, the SMART, and supported by the strategy, the how factor. So, and then it is connected with the complementing tactics. So tactics are not strategies, but tactics are complementing the strategy. So why I highlighted that fact, one of the key learnings, key observations is that, as Sun Tzu said, let me say this statement with you. When it comes to strategy and tactics, there's an interesting phenomena, interesting observation. The Sun Tzu, one of the topmost military respected strategists, say, if someone is having the strategy without tactics, that's the slowest route to the victory. Whereas when someone is having the tactics without strategy, just a noise before defeat. I think that's what we have observed in most cases. So a lot of tactics, but no strategies, noise before defeat. Well, even though it's not our territory, let me come back to this. So our purpose is, as a professional management body, to take this beyond awards. It's not about award. Awards is just a symbolic moment, milestone. So in that journey, we have a fascinating opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, you are showcasing practices to be showcased. That's one of the key ideas from the President and the Governing Council, is to bring it to our national conference. So connecting to the national conference is a starting point. So therefore, whoever going to get into those top slots here, you have a platform to come and share it with others, a larger audience. Shall we have a quick look at the last 3 years, a glimpse of those few presentations of the companies. Well, with that, so you might be wondering like how this process, is it too robust, rigorous, and is it a cumbersome? I think rather than I am talking about that, it's time for us to listen to one of the companies who have won and saying from their own words. Shall we get that? I think that's far more clearer than I'm talking about that.
Thank you for the opportunity to share with you this afternoon. And I'd like to structure my thoughts around 3 areas. The first is in terms of the process and the expectations. This is from an applicant's point of view. I was told this is an experience sharing, so I'd like to let you know what my experience was like. The journey and the value that we received, the recognition, I'll touch on that next. And finally, some tips around how you too can submit your submission for this year. So, in my role as the head of marketing at 99X, every couple of weeks, I get some random email that tells we have won an award. Now, I don't know whether you all experience it, but we have selected and we have found you to be in the top 10. We have found you to have won this, best in this region, best in this industry, whatever. Now, that's an award I didn't apply for. I don't know who's awarding it, and I don't know the criteria on which we were judged, how it was evaluated, nothing at all. Typically, for about $2,000, you can go and claim it. And I'm here to tell you that's not, I repeat, not what the best management practices awards was, and our experience of it last year. So the rules were very clear. The whole process, what was expected, the guidelines, the method of evaluation, who was doing it, how it will be done. So all of that was very clearly given. And I think that matters when it's any form of recognition. Right? It can't be something that happens just out of random, just like that. So the very fact that we are here today is evidence of that structure and that orderliness which is part of these awards. Moving from there to the online presentation where we were again evaluated, that was also done very professionally. And if I remember, it started pretty much on time, something normally that doesn't happen when we have back-to-back evaluations scheduled, so which again for me was quite professional. So with that, I'll move up to the next part, our journey and the recognition that we received as a company, right? So if you take ROE, and I call that return on effort, right? This is a very efficient award, okay? As a company, we apply for different awards, including exporter awards, other national level awards, and some of those are a month's work, maybe more. But the CPM Best Management Practices Awards is about 2,000 word submission and quite easily done compared to any of those. So the return on the effort that you put in is really high, right? And to the extent of where you have the sector awards as well. So certainly you have something to aim for and benefit for that effort that you put in. When we were made aware that we were in the top 5, I was quite pleased. And the first thing that I did was I wanted to check if any other IT companies were there. And there weren't any, so which was good. And from there, it was a case of preparing for the sharing at the event as well, which was quite good. It was a good opportunity and a good experience, certainly for me. And definitely at the event, to be recognized as the overall gold winner was something that we were quite proud about as a company. And just to give you a sense of why, when it came to last year, we had so much going on, right? I mean, you know that. And in that light, a lot of people put in so much effort in building our company and going to different geographies, all of that. And for each of them, this was again an endorsement or a means of recognition. So that was quite positive. So with that, I'd like to just close by saying, yes, as I shared at the start, there is recognition. It is from some credible entity that you are receiving this. There is a clear structure as to how you will be evaluated. In all of that, you'll be. I encourage you that it's good to put your best effort. All the very best. Thank you.
Well, matter is very clear, in line with promoting best management practices. So when we are hearing from the participants, the receiver's point of view, I think that's the best endorsement we can show it as an evidence. Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, now let me come to the final facet of what is future. So that's about the next and few other areas. So it's all about, we are looking at the embracing new opportunity to take it to the next level of 2025. And so this is about taking best management practices to the next level. So as the President says, it's all about getting into the wider network, wider spread, wider the dissemination of using, applying, and getting results, making the country forward. So in that light, so if you look at, so this is the awards, the inauguration today, kind of launch today, official introduction today. And having said that, the overall 3, and you can see this Excellence 5. So mainly the 20 outstanding companies, because even the last year we have realized that even though we say top 10, based on the marks, the same marks from both categories, so we have looked at it as outstanding 20, then you can see that the respective, other than the categories of the industries, and there are certain clusters which you identify in this CSR, DEI, the leadership clusters. And those, the 5 winning companies have an opportunity in terms of getting the leaders also recognized here, because their effort behind the screen, the enabling process, also recognized. So in addition to that, according to the marking criteria, this is about the merit and the certificate of recognition. So it is not about all applicants are getting an award. It's like 50 to 60 and 61 61 to 70 that category where the recognition and the merit, and all the others are respective categories and clusters. So this is how the big picture looks like in line with the awards. If I take you through a little bit critical but important areas, what is in your mind? So mind-boggling about, so few areas we thought to encapsulate into one snapshot. So there are 6 areas. So it's a little bit, I would say, detailed, but let me take one by one and highlight certain areas. So one of the interesting findings that we have seen here, is it an annual report-based competition? I want to say, first of all, no, not at all. And will the company need to disclose its financial details or strategies? I think one of the key, may I say, myths or points were raised and asked from the director, the awards coordinating point of view from Mr. Dilsha, and also a couple of people have contacted and say that our financial details and the strategies are disclosed. Is it happening like that, or something detrimental, harmful for us? I think I want to tell you that at this point, my good friend Dr. Bamru Singh is there. He is always articulating this co-creation. So what C.K. Prahalad and Venkatram, the professor, those 2 professors from Wharton University, what they have studied for 15 years by taking 40 companies, which companies are emerging in the current context, the co-creation. So the co-creation is about getting into this dialogue. It is about access. It is about flexibility. It is about transparency. So that to looking forward, the competition, as Edward D. Bono said, is not competition, it's co-opetition. Together, let's rise. So here we are creating a platform for companies to come and share it with in a large audience. Let's synergize by taking each and everyone. So it's about not disclosing these finances per se number, because those numbers are disclosed numbers, and those percentages growth, what we are looking at, the volume, value, percentage growth, not about looking at the other matters of in terms of the respective areas of those myths, not our business. So therefore, I want to say that this is not about submitting your annual report and hey, expecting an award. From that sense, I have to be very much categorically highlight. So if you look at number 2 is that, will the size of the company matters? Of course, no. So here our focus is bringing this nurturing best practice. So in that light, so the application point of view, irrespective of the size, so we recognize in the respective categories. So if we look at ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about in a competition like this? Like Mr. Krishan mentioned in his case where he has done something extraordinary which was recognized by a professional entity. But here, my argument is that for companies, this is the time for you to test and look at outside in perspectives. Why don't you get the perspectives from judges and look at whether we are doing the right thing? Are we in the right direction? Are we in that path? Are we taking our company with that flywheel into the next level? Are we waiting for breakthrough or taking that momentum continuing? So therefore, this is an opportunity for you to get some outside-in view and to make your practices to refine, reconfigure, realign, readjust. So that's the kind of opportunity here. So at the same time, if you look at one of the ideas regularly, the companies are asking that can we go for across different clusters? Yes, of course. So that, but your story should be unique. So you should have a story from the respective areas as per the articulated details you will see in a while, and so that you can go for that multiple. But with regard to the this particular point is quite critical because some organizations keep on asking that can we go by like marketing, finance, IT? No, we want to say that no. No, because that is not the case. This is not about inter-competition or intra-competition. It's about looking at silo effect of organization to be further nurtured by and endorsed by us. No, that is not the case. So therefore, no way of getting that department-wise applications. And finally, if you look at so the one of the improvements and areas coming up, which I will show in a while, that the judges' feedback also will be put into a document, and you can have a look at their perspectives also coming up. So with those, may I say that a few additional benefits, may I highlight, so we are within the time. So that if you look at special paper supplement and the publishing stories in the Chartered Manager Journal, so special edition is coming up. So I would like to show the 2024 one. So here it was dedicated only for the best management practices companies. So definitely, so next year we can have a dedicated chartered professional manager, so which is for you. So it's about showcasing your stories to get that into a national recognition. So with that, if we go like few other areas also worthwhile to highlight the free seat for the technical workshops. So now what we have realized, even though last time we gave a bit of a detailed briefing in terms of the nitty-gritties, but it has been realized that still in line with, even though the Jim Collins say that discipline, thought, thinking process is there, but discipline is not there to fill that given template. So that our judges were having a tough time to find it out, factors, what he's talking about, what they are highlighting. Is it a practice or what is it in line? Is it in order? So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, next month we are having a very much focus to our workshop that is about to fill the template as well as get your presentation aligned. So that because your presentations are not for you, it's for the judges, it is for the large audience. So therefore, so they are looking at not from the stimulus response point of view, the response stimulus point of view. So therefore, we want to look at the presentation as well as the clear establishment of your the report as well. So not to forget that, getting these winners of the Excellence Awards to qualify to showcase their story. So you can visualize that in next year, March 20th, Thursday, in that conference, which is coming in with a new outlook, where you can come and showcase with a large audience. So that is what we are looking at as a professional body. Also, we should not forget the fact that so the other bonus one is coming up for the one applying company, registering company, is being given one free seat at the conference also. Like that's also there for you. And particularly, this matter was very much highlighted. The most of the companies, the reports are endorsed by either CEO, chairman, or MD, or the group CEO, but they are not being recognized. So at least we don't want to give everyone, but the management is very clear, at least top 5 winners should be recognized. So therefore, those leadership, the members, also have a dual opportunity. In this case, one is to come and showcase and present and take part in the discussion in the conference, as well as getting an award also in this case. With that, may I say that just to highlight the evaluation process, getting into a technical workshop, which is happening in December, and those who are following these guidelines and following those rules, template, all the materials are very well clearly developed. So you need to adhere, so earn 10%, and getting into that executive summary of the glimpse of that 2,000 words idea, because that has a direct connection to your the publication in the journal also. That adherence to executive summary and report submission on time, so that is 10%. And the balance 40 would come in a desk review, where we have quite a number of different technical personalities, I would say judges in technical category are going to evaluate, and that 40 marks will be collated, and then as Mr. Krishan said in his presentation, so you need to come forward and make a presentation. It's virtual. 10 means presentation, 10 means question and answer. So that's say 40. So one addition we have included this time, those who are this is the last day of in that month, in the March, in the February, where in that week, Monday, so we are going to invite the top 5 companies, I would say leaders, and to have a kind of additional discussion with another judging team, so that kind of a physical meeting and discussion about their best practices, whether they are in line. So that's a value addition coming up, and the rest are, it's all about announcing and getting into the readiness for the awards next year. That is March 21st on Friday. Well, with that, the report template, if I just show you, this is how it looks like. You can see that, as Mr. Krishan said, you can see each question area. There are 6 questions, whether it's average or good or very good. So there is a judge's job is quite easy, and what to write, whether it's a one, say practice or the pillar, or how the evidences all are well established. So in that sense, the template would be trained extensively during the technical workshop. And may I highlight few important days? So that is about the information today. And you can see that registering for the competition by December 10th. And technical workshop is happening on 16th December, that's Monday. Even though it says 3 hours, based on the numbers we are going to look at, whether going to have 2 sessions at the same time, 2 phases. And we'll see, and your report submission and submission fees by 10th February. So the online presentations start this 2 weeks, 17th to 22nd week, as well as 24 to March 1st that week. So the time slots will be informed, and you will get your time slots, as Krishan said. It's very much clearly followed process. And you can see that awards announcements of the winners you will get to know by 5th. Only the difference is on the 4th that special interview for Excellence Award winners, the 5. So that is happening on 4th Monday. Then the registration for March 14th, And of course, the international conference is happening on 20th and the awards night is on 21st. Right. So here you can visit, you can see that cpmawards.com, the website, all the details there, and you can scan this and even get all the details. And anyway, that card is made available on your way out, after refreshments you can collect. And not only that, you can collect that card as well as this year. That journal copy also, you can collect one. So you can have a look at 2024 copy and you can visualize how your the company photos will come in the 2025 journal. So that also you can visualize. Well, you can pick that at the end. And not only that, so few other supporting so the last 3 years we are happy to say that our efforts have yielded the fruit so that many companies are rallying around and responding, and it's quite encouraging. So that's what we want to take it forward. I'm sure this will be enhanced to next level. So with that, so may I say that I was telling the inception, so I'm exactly within the time. I was telling that this is about yesterday, today, and tomorrow. It's about hindsight from yesterday, the insight which you are going to gain from something or someone. It's about foresight. It's about getting ready. So the best management practices is not just a word. It is about recognizing, testing, getting outside in views, and working together for larger purpose, and working towards the next, the growth line. So in that sense, we are ready to recognize the best management practices. So I want to ask from, are you ready? So are you ready? So that's what this story is all about. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ratnayake, for your insightful and comprehensive presentation. Your detailed overview has undoubtedly equipped our company representatives with the knowledge and guidance needed to craft and present compelling stories that highlight their best management practices. We truly appreciate your expertise and effort in setting the stage for this year's awards. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause to Dr. Samantha Ratnayake. Before we conclude this insightful information session, let me have a couple of special announcements. As Dr. Ratnayake mentions, please collect the special edition of the Chartered Manager Journal featuring highlights from the best management practices showcased in 2024 awards, and a card. Actually, we have prepared another card detail. This kind of a card you can collect when you leave at the it's available at the entrance when you leave the hall. We encourage all company representatives to take this message back to your organizations and inspire your teams to participate in these prestigious awards. Now we invite you to join us for refreshments and continue our discussions in a relaxed setting. So with that, thank you once again for being here and enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.